juiciest, most flavorful food in the parking lot. The fast grilling times leave you more time to talk up your team, and they cool down fast so you won't miss a minute of the game. The Solaire Anywhere and Solaire Everywhere portable infrared grills are perfect for any grilling on the go, from picnics to camping, RVs to boating, but especially tailgating. And they're made in the USA with the confidence of a 100-year-old family business. Amaze your tailgating friends with Solaire infrared grills. Learn more about these fantastic grills at besthotgrill.com. That's besthotgrill.com. besthotgrill.com.
According to official data, at least 115,000 people have disappeared in Mexico since 1952. In the last 2 decades, specific causes and perpetrators have blurred as officials have sought drug cartels, and crime has tightened its grip in several states. But human trafficking, kidnapping, acts of retaliation, and forced recruitment are some of the reasons listed by human rights organizations. Among the relatives searching for their loved ones are mothers whose children never came back home. With whatever resources they find and the support from various religious leaders, some find in their faith the strength to keep looking for answers about what happened to their children. NHL player Johnny Gaudreau of the Columbus Blue Jackets has been killed after being hit by a car while driving a bicycle in his home state of New Jersey. More at
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Well, we're not cooling down just yet. That comes next week. Tonight, it's a low of 72. And then for tomorrow, expect a high of 93. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon soaking. Sunday, we're at 93 again. Do cool down a little bit for Labor Day. 89 the high, but chances of rain, 50%. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
Ooh, I like when you press that one.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
This is Sports Talk with Phil Kornblut and Chris Bergen. Sports Talk is heard across the state on radio affiliates of the Sports Talk Media Network and is streaming live on SportsTalkSC.com, as well as Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. The South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number to call in is 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now, here are Phil and Chris with tonight's edition of Sports Talk.
All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Sports Talk. Here on the Sports Talk Media Network, it's a Founders Federal Football Friday night back in the Palmetto States. We're in the Peach State. We're in Atlanta for Clemson and Georgia, kicking off tomorrow around noon. We'll talk about that in just a moment. South Carolina, Old Dominion, 4:15 tomorrow afternoon as the season gets underway there. And, of course, last night we had 3 teams from the state open up their individual seasons. Coastal Carolina, tip of the cap to the Chanticleers. They go to Jacksonville State, and they look very impressive. And the voice of the Chanticleers back with us, Chris Bergen from the Berge Palace.
Sir.
What an opening for your guys last night.
They were awfully impressive. And what, did you run a marathon today?
No.
You sound like you're just finished running a marathon.
Well, I'm in Atlanta. I just drove through a horrendous storm. I mean, and the traffic, of course, Labor Day traffic, and everywhere around Atlanta is backed up because of just the traffic, and then just this humongous storm that has settled in over this part of the metro area. So anyway, all good.
Okay, we're good. Well, I'm glad to be back. Josh, for some reason, I'm getting an echo. in my headphones. So if you can work on that behind the scenes, I'd appreciate it. But yeah, back to Coastal last night, just an amazing ball game, Phil, because going in, didn't know exactly what to expect from those guys. And they go out and just wally mop, I guess is the best way to describe it. Jacksonville State last night, 55-27 in a game that wasn't that close. I mean, Coastal came out. The only mistake they made in the opening half was a delay of game on the first play from scrimmage. And you think, how in the world could you have a delay of game on the first play of the year? Well,
yeah.
Coastal does something unique as they get ready for their offensive sets. They'll send their offensive linemen out first, and the skill positions stay along the sidelines to get final instructions, and they just took too long after the opening kickoff. But aside from that, Ethan Vasco got the start, as we kind of speculated he would, and played extremely well, 12 of 19 for 249 yards and 2 touchdowns. He also rushed for a score last night. Coastal's defense was terrific. They rolled up over 500 yards of total offense. It's the most points that Coastal has scored in a season opener in program history. So, I mean, if you're Tim Beck, I don't know that you could ask for anything better than what they got last night.
Got to be honest with you. I mean, and you did a great job. I listened to you. Fantastic job.
Well,
I mean,
you.
I got to believe the butterflies were there a little bit. Your first time doing a Coastal Carolina football game as the play-by-play guy. So I'm sure you were a little bit excited about that. You did a great job holding it all together. But I was when I tuned it in after the show, I'm listening, and I heard you say the score was like 38-10.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, wow, did not see that coming, because I thought Jacksonville State would be a pretty good test, especially playing at their place.
I think that's what everybody anticipated. And the interesting thing was Jacksonville State was about a 2.5-point favorite going in. So a rare time that Las Vegas was way wrong, not just wrong. They were way wrong last night. And one thing that Rich Rodriguez's team, and we've talked about it before with them, Jacksonville State ran the fastest tempo of any team in the country a season ago. They got off 3 plays in a minute. The problem is if you're not converting first downs, that means your defense goes right back on the field. And last night they were 2 of 11 on possession downs. They were 1 of 10 on third downs, 1 of 1 on fourth. Phil, I don't care how fast you play. If you're not converting third down and keeping your offense on the field, you end up getting the opposing team to almost have a 2-to-1 time of possession, and your defense just wears down, and that's exactly what happened. Jacksonville State in the third and fourth quarter on defense, it was like we're done. Let's end this game because I'm ready to go home.
And Tyler Huff transferred from PC, who I don't think he started, but he came in and played a good bit. But they did a good job against both of those quarterbacks. Was it Smothers and Huff? And I mean, again, when I heard the score, I'm like, wow, what a and your defense. You touched on the defense. Defense must have played outstanding. And what I know it wasn't his debut, but the quarterback, he played some last year. But what a opening game for him, and something that Tim Beck and that offensive coaching staff can really build on.
There's no doubt. And one thing they were able to do last night, I don't have the participation numbers in front of me, Phil, but I bet 70 players played last night. Virtually the entire travel roster got a chance to get in there, especially in the first half. They kept rotating guys on defense and on offense. They ran 5 running backs, I think, last night, got a chance to carry the ball, and I think they all averaged excuse me. I haven't had much sleep either, so I get your point about the traffic. We got back into Myrtle Beach at 4:00 this morning. I got into Georgetown at 5, then posted the game story to SportsTalkSC.com and got into bed about 6:30 and ended up sleeping for a couple of hours and then came back here to Florence. So if my words don't come as quickly as they should, that's part of the reason.
Hey, man,
I figured out
I
at
understand.
54. At 54, I'm not built for the all-nighters anymore. But anyway, they were able to play so many players last night. They stayed fresh, and Jacksonville State seemed to stick with their starters. Excuse me. So I don't know that they're as deep as Rich Rodriguez would like, and that's something he's going to have to address, because I was not to disparage their team, but that was not the same Jacksonville State team that we saw last year and gave Coastal all it could handle. Chanticleers were considerably better last night than Jacksonville State.
And now you got William and Mary coming to Conway next week, so a chance to build. Okay. And I was going to say, you were talking about your travel. I mean, I left my house around 1:00. Plenty of time to get to Atlanta and get set up, and the traffic was one of these travel days where you were either 2x2 or 3x3. I mean, it was Talladega and Daytona all the way down 20. And then you get to Atlanta, they had a car on fire on I-20, had traffic backed up for miles. Then this massive storm comes blowing in. So anyway, we made it in the nick of time, and we're happy to do so. So
Absolutely.
A lot of football last night. North Carolina catches a break at Minnesota. Minnesota a chance to win. A very reliable kicker missed 2 field goals, including one on the final snap of the game. But North Carolina loses their quarterback, Max Johnson, for the rest of the season. Tough blow for him, young man that's Brad Johnson's son. And he started his career at LSU, and then he transferred to Texas A&M. Now he transfers to North Carolina. He's going to miss the rest of the season, a broken femur, and he had surgery for that. He was carted off the field late in the third quarter, so that's a huge blow for North Carolina. Looks like Connor Harrell now becomes the starter. He's out of Watkinsville, Georgia, and he originally signed with LSU, and now he's going to be the starter at North Carolina moving forward. So they pulled one out of the fire. How about, and of course you didn't get a chance to see it, you were traveling, but I thought that, Colorado and North Dakota State had a great game last night at Boulder, and I thought that the Colorado coaching staff had one of the, they had a Miami moment, and it didn't beat them. Remember Miami and Georgia Tech and what happened there? Well, I don't know if you're aware of this. Well, yeah. So Colorado, they got the lead, and they stopped. Let's see. They stopped North Dakota State on their last possession. Excuse me. And North Dakota State had one timeout left, and Colorado's got the football with the lead, 1:30 to go, and you just take a knee or you run the ball and you run out the clock. They throw on first down, and they throw incomplete. So you just gave North Dakota State a timeout, in essence, and North Dakota State was able to force a punt, and they got it. They got the ball. They did move it to around midfield or so where they could take a shot for the end zone, but the quarterback's arm wasn't strong enough to reach the end zone. He did complete the pass. It went down to about the 5-yard line, but that was it. That was the last play of the game. So I thought that was a bonehead decision by Dion and that coaching staff. It nearly came back to haunt them, but they survived. But I tell you, not a whole lot of defense. Again, it looks like on that Colorado side. And they play Nebraska next week, so find out more about them next week. But let's look ahead. Go ahead.
Quickly, Dion's son is still the quarterback there, correct?
Shadur.
Yeah, that's probably
and
the
he had
reason
a big
they
game.
threw the football.
He threw for 400 yards. He threw for
probably trying to pad his stats even further. It's stupidity on Dion's part. Just run out the clock. And it cost Miami last year. It should have probably cost them last night. But I guarantee that's the reason. I'm going to let my son go out there and continue to run the offense.
Probably so. I'll tell you what, Travis Hunter is the man, though. He made 3 touchdown catches, and the last one he made that sealed the win for them was just an incredible. It wasn't a back shoulder; it was a back body catch. I mean, he had to contort his body to reach back behind him and around the defender who didn't see the ball, while also trying to stay in bounds near the pylon. And he did all that, and played, of course, in the secondary as well. So what an athlete. Okay, as we roll forward tonight, a big Friday night, Founders Federal Football Friday night. David Shelton in just a moment as we preview the high school schedule tonight around South Carolina. I hope this weather is not heading into South Carolina because it will cause a lot of problems if it is. 6:35, the season debut of the football filibuster with Governor Hodges and General Wilson. We'll give you our picks that we have compiled for this first big weekend of the college football season. We're picking 5 games against the spread, as always. And to 7:05, we get some professional help from Lee Sterling. Sterling Picks here on Sports Talk, so stay tuned for that. And then we shift gears to NASCAR. Of course, it's Labor Day weekend. It's Darlington weekend. It is the Cookout Southern 500. That's kind of how I feel. I feel like I just drove the Cookout Southern 500.
You absolutely did.
I had, as I heard somebody say, hands at 10-2, man. My hands were at 10-2, and I was strangling the steering wheel getting through this storm. And then birdies, bogeys, biceps with George Bryan III, and our special guest tonight, former Clemson linebacker Chad Smith, who is working with Tsunami Bar Sports and Williams Weight Company, and looking forward to chatting up a little weight training and physical fitness and golf with Chad and George. So we got a big show for you. Let's get to the high school scene tonight, which will be unfolding across the state in about, in some cases, about 45 minutes, other cases about an hour and 15 minutes. We welcome in David Shelton of the High School Sports Report and the Charleston Post and Courier, the man who knows all, tells all, sees all, smells all regarding high school football across the state. David, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm tired.
What's got you tired?
Walking. You know, you'd think after 37 years of me being the bib, every stadium I'd go to just have me a parking place right by the gate.
Yeah.
No, you go to Somerville, you got to park a mile away, then you got to walk up these bleachers that are like walking up Death Valley. And I'm just not capable of doing it like I used to be.
Yeah, I feel your pain.
Here and I'm taking a break.
We all feel your pain. How's your weather look down there?
It's hot as hell.
Okay. All right. That kind of sums it up.
I mean, I don't know what you want me to say.
Yeah. Any
August
threat?
in the Low Country, it's hot.
Exactly,
any
David. And that's
threat?
probably going to play as big a factor as anything tonight. We probably have a lot of opportunities for water breaks and the like in all the games around the state, because we've gone from 75 degrees and beautiful last Friday to 95 degrees and 100% humidity in a week's time.
Yeah, any threat that
I was wondering about the wet bulb thing, but
I was just getting ready to say,
time.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about the old wet bulb thing, the old wet bulb. And how does that work, David? How does the wet bulb actually work?
Well, to keep it simple, it's a device that measures humidity, wind, and temperature. And it comes up with a formula like a number. And it's got to be under a certain number in order to be in pads and, that kind of thing. So we're pretty close. We're pretty close to it, but the humidity is only about 50% right now. So that's okay. It's usually when it's 90, 95 and the humidity 95, then you got issues.
Let's go back to Summerville last week, where the game was suspended at halftime with Summerville up by a couple of scores because of a disturbance in the stands. Someone was arrested during the week as a result of that. And when we left you, we kind of thought Summerville was going to get credit with the win. Maybe we weren't 100% sure. And as things have turned out, they get credit for the win in that game?
Yep. It was I think the fact that it went a whole half, I think that, and it's a non-region game and it really doesn't matter. I mean, if it were me, I wouldn't count it as a loss on my record, but if I'm Summerville, I would count it as a win. So it doesn't, you're going to get the same amount with the points playoff predictor and all that kind of stuff. You're going to get the same anyway.
All right. So Summerville, you're obviously there because they've got a big one. They've got South Florence coming to town. This is a biggie. South Florence in a tight one beat West Florence last week. So what about this matchup? Strengths, weaknesses, who do you like?
Well, I think if I had to pick a winner, I think Summerville will win, but I think South Florence has got a real shot. Where they're good is on the defensive line, and really their defense is good. Summerville is pretty good on offense, has not found itself on defense yet, and South Florence got some weapons that'll hurt you. So, but I think Summerville's a better team overall. But this is really, I told Bobby Harton's show today, I said, if there was a statewide media poll, top 10 of all schools, regardless of classification, all ranked, both these teams would be in the top 10. I mean, you're talking number 5 in 5A, number 2 in 4A. Somerville's been to 2 straight lower state championships in 5A. South Florence has been to 2 straight state championship games in 4A. This is a playoff type game.
By the way, how about stop using all your good stuff on Bobby's show and save some of the good stuff for us? How about that, huh? Because seems like all the good stuff is used up by the time you get to us. Just keep that in mind in the future.
You probably need to pre-tape me about 3 o'clock then.
What is the deal with Oceanside Collegiate and the sudden resignation of Coach Chad Wilkes? I know you wrote a story when it happened, but I mean, anything more you can share? What does that mean to that team? They lose their opener, what is that? Even though they promoted from within, I mean, I'm sure it came as a shock to the players, and you got a little transition to go through here.
Yeah, and their schedule's ridiculous. They're playing Calvary Day, which is number 2 ranked in Georgia tonight. They're playing Savannah Christian, which is number 3 ranked in Georgia next week. Then they play Dutch Fork. Then they play Ashley Ridge. So, I mean, they could be 0-5 if Nick Saban was the coach. So they got their own work cut out for them. They'll be all right once they get to the playoffs. They're still a really good team. But, some rumors are out there that there was some things going on within the team that he didn't handle well, but I have nothing concrete. He told me that it was a personal decision, and I asked, could it have waited till the end of the season? He said, no, it needed to be done now. So you take the man at his word, but then you get, as soon as that story hit the internet, I had people texting me going, well, you didn't get the whole story. Let me tell you this. And so Lord knows if I printed all the rumors I heard, I could write a book. But, the bottom line is he's not the coach. The rest of their coaching staff's in play. Patterson is a former head coach at James Island. He'll do fine as the interim head coach. Players love him. But I think a lot of people are going to, if they go 1-4 or 0-5, they're going to look at this and say, well, the program just fell apart. But, I mean, I said before the season, like I said, Nick Saban could be the coach, and they're going to have a hard time winning a game. I think it's Savannah or Calvary Day. One of them has the number 1 prospect in the country. You'd have to, all that recruiting crap, but I mean, they got some players. So, I don't look for them to have a whole lot of success.
Recruiting is not crap. It's a lifestyle. Okay. Remember that.
Well,
it is not crap. It's a lifestyle.
Some people's lifestyles are crap. So there you go.
You mentioned Dutch Fork. They open up tonight. They had last weekend off. They'll play Spartanburg up there. Big, huge matchup. What do you think there?
Well, I think Dutch Fork's the better team. I think they're going to win the game, but Spartanburg, coming off that win over South Point, certainly has some momentum. They proved they were very strong in the kicking game, but Dutch Fork's got a great kicker as well. And just from, I have not seen Dutch Fork, obviously. I've talked to people in the Midlands that saw them scrimmage or saw them practice or whatever, and they say they're as good as they've ever been, which is scary. That's scary to think.
David, Phil Cherry picked one of my 2 games I was going to ask you about because that's probably the best and the biggest one in-state with 2 in-state teams. But what is Dorman getting into facing that powerhouse out of Grayson High School in Georgia tonight and going over there, if I'm not mistaken? Dorman, a winner last week in their opener. We saw Grayson on national TV this past weekend. They look really, really strong. What is Dorman getting into with those guys?
They're going to get into some problems. They're going to get into a 12,000 fans and a really good team. And, Grayson has played South Carolina schools off and on. They played the Anderson schools and they played Dutch Fork. And I think they played Fort a couple of years ago, and Fort was pretty good, and they destroyed Fort. This is not Dorman of 5 years ago, so they're trying to rebuild and get it back. This is going to be a tough night for them, I think.
Wanted to get in over here in the PD, we talked so much about Lamar and Hartsville and certainly Dillon and the teams that have been powerful and strong for a long, long time. I think an interesting story is where we're going to be on Sundays over in Darlington, because Jamie Johnson, I think, is starting to turn the corner with them. I don't know how much you follow the Falcons, but they were a winner last week, and this is a Darlington team that has been down for so long. David, have you been surprised at how well and how quickly Jamie Johnson has been able to turn the corner with those guys?
Well, he inherited a mess, but he is also a very good football coach. And I think what he did is establish some confidence and gave the kids hope that there would be continuity, that he wasn't going to coach one year and run like some other coaches have done. And I think that, Darlington's got good athletes. So they just needed the right direction. And I think Jamie's done that. And, they'll play North Myrtle Beach, and it wouldn't be a shocker if they were to win that game. I mean, they're a legitimate team.
Okay, David, we'll let you get back on your jaunt to the press box there at John McKissick Stadium, the Billy Baker press box. Did they name the press box after Billy Baker? They should have.
No, but Billy Baker's going to be here tonight, but he said he wasn't coming to the press box, which is good news for me.
Yes, and everybody else in the press box. This is true. Well, you have a great ball game, and we will rejoin you tonight at 10:05 on the high school scoreboard.
Thanks, David.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, pal. All right, David Shelton. Also tonight, looking at some of the other games, I like this Abbeville-Powdersville game. That's a good one in the upstate. As you look at the Midlands, let's see here. This Gray Collegiate Baylor of Tennessee game. That's Eric Kimry's team. Baylor of Tennessee hosting Gray Collegiate, so that one will be interesting. Always interesting, Silver Bluff and Strom Thurmond down there, so keep an eye on that one. Down in the PD Grand Strand area, how about West Florence and Myrtle Beach? That one will be dicey.
West coming off a loss last week to South Florence in the early rivalry game, and South Florence shut them down offensively. So, I think Myrtle Beach is, as David had pointed out last week, they've got so much talent, and they feel like they're almost all the way back. And West could conceivably be looking at 0-2 to start the year.
Yeah, Carolina Forest and Hartsville tonight should be a good one as well. So we'll have it all for you. Tonight. Founders Federal High School Scoreboard 10:05 coming up. Football filibuster after this break.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 7 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Well, we're not cooling down just yet. That comes next week. Tonight, it's a low of 72. And then for tomorrow, expect a high of 93. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon soaking. Sunday, we're at 93 again. Do cool down a little bit for Labor Day. 89 the high, but chances of rain, 50%. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Dave Ramsey here. Do you want your money to work for you rather than you working for your money? Go see my friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union. They're not a mega bank and have been serving the Midlands since 1936, offering good old-fashioned customer service and free services. They'll look out for your well-being. With 14 locations, check them out today at palmettocitizens.org. Federally insured by the NCUA.
With SRN News, I'm Keith Peters reporting Nebraska's top election official says organizers have collected enough signatures to ask voters to repeal a new law that uses taxpayer money to fund private school tuition. Organizers of Support Our Schools announced in July that they had gathered more than 86,000 signatures of registered voters. That's well over the nearly 62,000 needed to get the repeal on the ballot. A Brazilian Supreme Court justice has ordered the suspension of Elon Musk's social media giant X nationwide after the tech billionaire refused to name a legal representative in the country. The move further escalates the month-long feud between the two men. On Wall Street, the Dow up by 228 points, the Nasdaq rose 197, the S&P advanced 56. This is SRN News.
Here's a shocker. It gets hot in South Carolina. Seems kind of crazy that if you got a home or you got a business, you're sick of the power companies controlling you, demanding rate increases every 6 months, sick of your power bill going up. You can't even pick your power company, but you can choose Broker Solar to give you some control over that bill. Solar panels are not free like some of these stupid yard signs say. These door knockers often, well, they're scammers. Not Broker Solar. They don't go knocking on the doors. I told Ken I want some incentive for our Point family listeners. So purchase a system from Broker Solar. Your first solar panel is free. Look, I'm not into scare tactics, but this is an election year. And the way things are going, well, maybe it's time to stop relying on the government or these power companies. Broker Solar offers you control. Solar can save you money. These solar batteries are amazing. What a huge difference they can make. Do your homework. Online, it's brokersolar.com or just call Ken. I trust him. I really do. You can also. 807-7417. That's 807-7417.
Hey y'all, this is Ted from Flight Deck Restaurant. We'd like to invite you and your family to dine with us. We have a great menu that's sure to please your whole family. We have fresh cooked burgers, big juicy wings, blue plate menu featuring country cooking, hoagies, fresh crisp salads, authentic Greek food like gyros, souvlaki, and baklava. We also carry 20 different premium cheesecakes and pies. Flight Deck Restaurant also has an arcade with 30 different games like Star Wars, Batman, Skee Ball, Bass Wheel, Pac-Man, Galaga, and so much more. Flight Deck, your favorite family restaurant. Thanks y'all and God bless.
As we celebrate 10 fantastic years at Sweet Comfort Services, we're cooling you off with unbeatable deals on all SEER 2 and high-efficiency AC equipment. Hey, Point family, mention this ad and get a thorough spring maintenance check from our expert non-commissioned techs for just $95 for your first system and a chill $45 each additional system. Look us up at sweethvac.com or call us at 331-8143. Celebrating a decade of keeping you cool and comfy. Happy Comfort Promise.
Hey gardeners, expert or beginner, come out and get your seeds and plants from Growing Your Garden with Sal this season. They're an SE certified farm offering local vegetable seedlings as well as plants and seeds. We teach you how to grow your garden even if you don't have a green thumb. Online at salslocalseed.com or visit 113 Hilltop Drive in Columbia. That's salslocalseed.com. Support your local farmers.
Hun, did you see the power bill? I feel like we're trying to cool the outside with these old original windows from the house.
Yeah, they are old. They let the cool air out and the hot air in. Plus, they're really ugly. I think it's time we finally get those new windows.
I think we need to call Red Windows and Doors.
Oh yeah, think of the Miller's house up the street.
I got their card when I was talking to the Millers. Here it is, Redbird Windows and Doors, 727-0561. Oh, and let's look at their website too, redbirdwindows.com.
Give me that number again, please.
727-0561.
Okay, welcome back into Sports Talk. Founders Federal Football Friday night, where we give you more football information than you can shake a stick at. Not only is it football season, it's election season. So, of course, here on Sports Talk, we only work with the best. So what we've done is combine two of the great political minds of South Carolina history with two great football minds of South Carolina history. Now, all of that can be debated, but as far as we're concerned, we are right and you are wrong. As we welcome in to Sports Talk, the defending champion, once again, of the football filibuster, but only by a single game last season. He is the former governor of South Carolina who no longer needs a security detail to protect him from the citizens. Governor Jim Hodges, welcome in. How are you?
Hello, Phil. Happy to be back for my 25th year of doing this.
Is it 25 years?
25 years, and I will brag on myself. I am 22-2 during those past 24 years, and
right.
Looking forward to making it 23-2 this year.
Well, I know the general got you one year. Who got you the other time?
I think Governor Beasley got me one time.
Yeah, he was so depressed he went off to save the world hunger. He went off to fix that problem. He couldn't handle you, so he went to go handle something simple like world hunger. We welcome in the current Attorney General of the state of South Carolina, Alan Wilson. Only a one-game loser, but like Dale Earnhardt said, General, if you're a one-game loser, you're still a loser.
Yeah, he's good. I'm not going to lie. He's tough to beat. I do have to say this. I think the governor's been doing this since I was in high school.
You're exactly right.
I'm kidding. No, in all seriousness, he's been doing it a long time, and he's very good at it. And, last year I tried a couple strategies. One strategy was to do my research and bring in experts and try to put the best thing together. And every time I did that, he beat me. On the weeks that I just threw caution to the wind, I beat him. So we'll see what strategy I'm going to take tonight.
Just throw caution to the wind. Just let it flow. Let it flow. Okay. Last year, just to review, Governor, you were 43-42. General, you were 42-43. So we're right down to the wire. Remind everybody that we are picking against the spread, okay? So this is not something, this takes some thought. This takes some analysis. This just isn't picking a winner and taking the big favorite. We're picking against the spread here. So here we go. As the defending champion, Governor, you have earned the right to lead us off. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. Let's begin with the team that is wrongly identified in 49 states as USC. That would be Southern Cal, taking on LSU, a neutral site in Vegas. LSU favored by 4.5. Governor.
I'm going to take LSU in this. I think the pressure is starting to build on the Southern Cal coach, and still doesn't look to me like they've got much of a defense. So I think LSU is going to be pretty good this year, and we'll take them.
When you were in office, you couldn't pass a law that required the rest of the country to refer to USC here as USC and them out there as Southern Cal?
I wish we could have. What's so crazy is we were founded in 1801, and they probably were founded in the late 1800s, early 1900s. A little crazy, pretty crazy, isn't it?
No, yep. Didn't jump on it. Should have sealed that deal. General, what you got?
Well, I'm actually going to agree with the governor on this one. I'm picking LSU. I feel like this is going to be a good year for them. On the other point you made, they get USC, but we get that acronym SCAR. And I kind of like that.
I kind of like that too, but I don't think the university approves of that. I don't think they want the media outlets to refer to them as SCAR, but I kind of like it, be honest with you. You could do a lot with that from a promotional standpoint. Mess with us, leave with a scar. Huh?
I like it.
Yeah. Okay, General, you lead here. You got Notre Dame at Texas A&M. Aggies at home, favored by 3. Who you got?
Well, I'm going to go with the home team. I think the Aggies are going to win by maybe 6, possibly a full touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Riley Leonard now at Notre Dame. He was special when healthy at Duke. I don't know. Is he going to be the answer there at quarterback at Notre Dame as they use a different quarterback every year, Governor?
I think Elko's a heck of a coach. I'm with the General on this. I'm going to take A&M. It's not like they don't have a lot of talent there, and they've got an outstanding coach now. So I'm going to take A&M in this one.
You got them. Both of you taking the Aggies. We go to, this is like maybe outside of Clemson, Georgia. It's kind of my favorite game of the weekend. Miami at Florida. Miami trying to prove that they are going to be for real this year, and Florida just trying to avoid, being sued by another former, player who they, messed up with their NIL deal. And Florida's getting 2.5 at home against the Hurricanes. Governor, who you like here?
I like Florida. I know that's a contrarian position, but I think they've had great recruiting classes, and I have seen this movie many times with Miami where everybody talked about they were ready to become a winner, and it never happens. So I'm going to take Florida.
Mm-hmm. I hear what you're saying. General, who do you like here?
How's this for bipartisanship? I'm going with the governor again. Florida, in the Swamp first game. I'm taking the Gators.
See, I don't call that being bipartisan. I call that being chicken. Let's go to South Carolina and ODU. The Gamecocks beginning season number 131. 131 on the season for the Gamecocks. And the fourth under Shane Beamer, favored by 19.5 here. General against ODU, first ever meeting with the Monarchs.
Well, since you called me chicken, I guess I'll stay that theme and go with the chickens. Listen, South Carolina, it's the first game of the year. There's a lot of energy behind them. You know, I'm a diehard Gamecock like the governor, and this is probably more of a heartstring I'm pulling here. But I think they're going to come out, and I think they're going to cover the spread. Sometimes they've let us down and, stumbled out the gate and not performed at the level we want. But I'm going to go ahead and go with my heart and think that they're going to pull this one out with at least 20 points.
Okay, I could see that, Governor.
Well, I'm going to go with my head and pick Old Dominion.
Whoa! Look at you.
Carolina's going to win. I totally agree with the general. Carolina is going to win this comfortably, but, freshman quarterback, we tend to start slow. At least we have under Beamer. So I think it will be more like a 10 to 14-point game. I say it's too many points. So Carolina will win comfortably, but I don't think we'll be able to cover that.
Okay. How do you like, by the way, the new Tommy Suggs Gamecock 2001 entrance that they have built to add to the pregame festivities because he was the one who suggested that they use 2001 as their entry music back in the early 1980s, and now they don't know if you saw the pictures, but they have painted a garnet way, a garnet walk with his name on it, and put up like an overhead iron gate with he and his wife's name on it. I mean, they really did a nice job with this thing, and I think it's a very appropriate tribute to one of the all-time greats at USC.
Oh, Tommy's a great friend of mine, and the generals too. And I think it's really an appropriate tribute for him. Really excited to see it in person.
Yeah.
He's a class act, and I'm glad to see them recognize him. That's great.
Yeah, they did a great job with that. Okay, that takes us to the game here in Atlanta. Georgia, Clemson. Tigers are getting 13.5. I have fought this all week. Now, they're getting 11.5 and 13.5. When I did this, it was 13.5, so that's what we have to live with. I think today the line had dropped back to 11.5. It's gone back and forth. So, Clemson, ain't nobody beating Clemson by 2 touchdowns, are they, Governor? They're getting 13.5 here against Georgia.
Well, look, I'm assuming you're having dinner tonight with Coach Muschamp since he knows of your fondness for Clemson.
Actually on the weekends I work as his pool boy at his house at Lake Murray to make sure the pool stays clean.
There are so many images popping into my head right now.
Well, he needs to be my investment advisor, I'll tell you, because
this is true.
He's done pretty well with contracts. I'm going to take. I think Georgia's going to win it, but again, it's just too many points. And the line has moved, as you noted. The line's moved a little bit today. I'm going to take Clemson.
Clemson, 13.5. Mr. General.
I agree. Listen. I think Georgia's going to win. While it's not in Athens, it is in a favorable home position, Atlanta for Georgia. So I feel like they're just going to come out strong. They're the presumed national champs again. I think Clemson's going to play in strong. I think Clemson's a great team. I think it'll be like more of a 10-point game. I don't see 2 touchdowns on Clemson. I think they'll play in close. But, again, I think Clemson will lose, but I think they'll cover the spread.
All right, very good. Let's take a moment here for amendments before we wrap it up. And, General, since you are the heavy underdog once again in this competition, we'll let you lead first here if there's anything you'd like to amend.
Wait, the heavy underdog? I lost by 1 game last year, and I'm a heavy underdog. You have to rub salt in the wound here.
The weight of history.
But heavy?
The weight of history is against you, sir. The weight of history.
That is fair. That is fair.
Yeah.
But no, I'm. And you also called me a chicken during that pick, so I'm gonna double down and put my chips on it. I'm staying.
Staying. Okay, Governor, how about you?
Well, as the Simone Biles of sports talk here, I think we need to have two difference. So I still think Clemson keeps it closer, but we need to have two games different. So I'll take Georgia in that one.
Oh, okay. All right. I hear you. So you're taking Georgia. General will take Clemson, and you're taking ODU, and the General will stick with his Gamecocks. There you go. Everything else is the same. Gentlemen, It's been a blast. Hope y'all have a great weekend, a great holiday weekend watching football, and then the race at Darlington, and we will reconvene next Friday night. We thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you. All right, we appreciate them. Jim Hodges and Alan Wilson with us tonight here on Sports Talk. We'll hit the break, and when we come back, we'll bring you the first panel selection of the year, the Sports Talk Pick'em Challenge. And that'll be coming up right after this break. We'll tell you what we think about those same games. And if we agree with the governor and the AG, that's coming up after the break right here on Sports Talk. Be right back.
The South Carolina Education Lottery has introduced a new rolling jackpot, and it's big.
How big? Bigger than a striped bass? Reel them in.
Way bigger.
Bigger than this world-class golf course? Or
bigger than that.
Even than the Gaffney.
Let's just say with this new rolling jackpot, Palmetto Cash 5 is officially too big to ignore. Palmetto Cash 5 draws nightly, so play today and check if your numbers are winners in the Players Club app or at seeducationlottery.com. Overall odds are 1 in 10. Top prize odds are 1 in 850,668.
Great things don't happen all at once. Big dreams take time. And when it comes to saving for college, it's those small steps that make a difference. I'm State Treasurer Curtis Loftus. Future Scholar, South Carolina's 5-9 college savings plan, is designed to be taken step by step. You can start with any amount, contributions are tax deductible, and earnings grow tax-free. So why wait? Discover the smart, easy way to save for college at futurescholar.com.
Major Billy Downer here from the Department of Natural Resources, and DNR is excited to announce the implementation of Go Outdoors SC, a new online licensing and boat titling system that you can access right from your phone. Through this new system, customers can purchase their hunting and fishing licenses, renew their boats, apply for lottery hunt opportunities, and complete electronic harvest reporting requirements. For more information, visit Go Outdoors SC at your local app store.
Deep in the heart of racing country lies a track too tough to tame. The perfect setting for the late season drama of the Southern 500.
Outside lane gets the launch.
One last chance to make a playoff push. One last chance to catch regular season races. One last chance to plan a Labor Day weekend worth bragging about. NASCAR weekend at Darlington Raceway, August 31st and September 1st. Get your tickets now at darlingtonraceway.com.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
Hi, I'm Lisa Hosteller Brown. Did you know it's possible to avoid probate court after you die, regardless of what you own? Why put your loved ones through a long, stressful public process when there are better options for your family? Visit lawyerlisa.com to see how we can help.
Call Lawyer Lisa. Experience the difference with Lawyer Lisa.
7511 St. Andrews Road, Irmo, South Carolina.
If you're looking to stay hydrated this summer, turn toward a southern favorite, sweet South Carolina watermelons. One slice is equivalent to a glass of water and is just as effective as sports drinks for hydration. If you don't believe us, you can ask the Palmetto State's top football teams. The SC Watermelon Association will be serving up slices after summer practice to keep our teams fueled and hydrated. Visit scwatermelon.org for all the details and look for ripe South Carolina watermelons in your hometown.
G3 here with Tsunami Bar Sports, and it's time for a fall preview. That's right, 720 Chris Drive, 378 and I-26, Frontage Road, where you can now preview the best technology for golf known to man. It's the Tsunami Bar. Live. It's the only technology out where you get your tempo and flow going before you play. Now, it also serves as a pattern support tool, 720 Chris Drive, Frontage Road, 378 and I-26. You also can visit the Garage Gym Pro Shop. Pick up your tools, take them home, and while you're here, tour the Scramble course, 6-hole pitch and putt right now.
It's Friday, gotta get down on Friday. Everybody's looking forward to the weekend.
It is indeed a Friday. Not only is it a Friday, it's better than a Friday. It's a Founders Federal football Friday night across the state. A reminder, the Founders High School football scoreboard tonight at 10:05. So, Bergie, in your new role as play-by-play man for Coastal Carolina, you had to give up your high school play-by-play duties. So, I mean, like, you're relaxed on Friday nights now, right? You don't have to worry about a thing. You can catch your breath.
Which is going to come in handy considering we landed, as I mentioned earlier, in Myrtle Beach at 4 o'clock this morning. I may not make it to the high school scoreboard show tonight. I do not envy my team, though, because Joe Katz, who does sidelines for us now, he also hosts a morning radio show in Myrtle Beach. And so he went straight from the airport to the radio station to get ready for his 6 o'clock airtime. And, of course, Lane Harris does the Myrtle Beach games, and so he had to work all day. I'm the only one that's sort of been in a situation where I could somewhat relax. I had some stuff to do today, but, yeah, I'm not going to miss, at least tonight. I did miss it terribly last week, though, especially the way the weather was.
Well, Smitty did a great job. I
don't doubt that in the least.
He's filled your shoes nicely. Okay, to the picks of the illustrious Sports Talk panel. We are down one as Pete Yannity has taken his picks and gone home. He is not able to join us this year to make picks, so we say goodbye to the Yannitator. But in his place, we add a young, up-and-coming football and in sports, generally in sports, but in football in particular, a young, up-and-coming expert in one Josh Cohen.
That's right. You can call me an expert. You don't have to say my name. If you call me an expert, everybody will know who I am. That's for sure.
Just say expert, huh?
Yeah, just say expert. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, let's go ahead and get your picks and start with you. We're doing Georgia, Clemson, ODU, USC, Miami at Florida, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Southern Cal, LSU with the spreads. And you are doing what?
Well, I took Georgia. I was honestly contemplating because I thought Clemson was going to take it. I changed my mind at the end. Can't really explain it. It's just what came to my mind. All right, I took USC against ODU, and I took Florida, of course, because they're going to win. Took Notre Dame, and I took LSU.
Okay. Bergie, what you got?
Josh has already proclaimed the Gators are going 7-5. That may get Billy Napier against that schedule a lifetime contract in Gainesville.
Is that 7-5? Is that 7-5 in court cases or 7-5 on the field? All right, go ahead. What you got?
No, that's the team I'm about to discuss. The Georgia Bulldogs, 7-5 in court cases. Did I read correctly? Did I hear that he's Kirby Smart is actually going to step in and maybe suspend ETN for the game tomorrow?
You know, I haven't heard or seen that, but if you've heard or seen it, tell us about it.
Pete Thamel, I think, said yesterday he believes I don't know if he was quoting sources or he believes that ETN may sit tomorrow. And that played a big factor into my decision. I think Georgia still wins, but everything they've got going on and some injuries, and if ETN doesn't play, I don't see how they cover a 2-touchdown spread against Clemson. So I'm going to take the Tigers in the points. I think Georgia wins, and I'm not going to credit Kirby Smart for doing what he should have done, but I will say I was wrong, and I'll admit that I was wrong on this if he does sit him tomorrow, especially considering the magnitude of the game. South Carolina, ODU, I think it's time to see if the Gamecocks can do what Coastal Carolina did last night and show up and play a complete ball game, both sides of the coin, and be solid in special teams, which is Beamer's trademark. Here's a good chance for you to do so, and this is clearly one they have to win. Not just they need to win, they have to win it. And I think they will, and I think they win by several touchdowns. I think they'll cover. Florida, Miami, I'll stick with Josh. I'll go with Josh.
I was going to say, don't fail me.
Gators, I think the Gators at home, maybe it's time for them to put up or shut up. LSU, Texas A&M, Phil, I'm going to go with the Aggies at home. I just think their defense is going to be terrific, and LSU could be missing a couple of players on offense too. due to, I believe, some injuries for them. And then our last game is, who am I missing? I don't have the sheet in front of me.
You're missing you're missing Southern Cal LSU.
Southern Cal. I'm going to go with what I say. I think I'm going to SC over LSU.
Yeah, you
so
did.
I'll take
You
Southern
did.
Cal in Las Vegas. Yep.
I'm looking at a story since you mentioned it on Dogs 24/7, and they got a little write-up here, and they said that they list him as doubtful for the game up in the air because he's facing a suspension.
Mm-hmm.
They say while his court case was resolved in July, the consensus belief around the Georgia program is that he will not play in the season opener. So that would say something about Kirby or someone above him. Of course, they're already without Roderick Robinson. He's out for the game.
Yeah.
So they're going to be dipping deep into their they have a deep roster at running back, of course. Okay, I am doing the following. And I know I'll go slowly because I know a lot of you want to write it down to use it for your own, steal my information, use it yourself. Give me Clemson, the points. Give me Gamecocks, lay the points. Give me Miami in a rout.
Oh, really?
Give me Texas A&M, lay the 3, and give me LSU, lay the 4.5. Let's see who else is doing stuff. Rick Sanford, the great doctor, the great safety, Georgia, Gamecocks, Florida, Notre Dame, LSU. Matt Smith, who cannot speak for himself since he's the voice of Sockesty. He likes Clemson, Gamecocks, Florida, Texas A&M, LSU. Pat Daniel back with us. He's rolling with Clemson, ODU, Florida, A&M, and LSU. Kev Cohen likes the Tigers, the Monarchs. He likes Miami. Gator Boy is picking Miami. Can you believe that? Yeah. Notre Dame and LSU. The big kahuna
from the family.
The big kahuna, this had to pain him. He picked Clemson, and he picked the Gamecocks and Florida and A&M and LSU. Fran, the money coach, Halloran. I should mention that the big kahuna is Bobby Harton in Charleston. The money coach, Fran Halloran, Clemson, USC, Florida, Notre Dame, LSU. Teddy, I'm so sexy without my shirt, Hefner. Georgia, ODU, Florida, Notre Dame, LSU. Allen, the bad boy Smothers. Clemson, USC, Miami, Notre Dame, LSU. Big Daddy Don Williams, Georgia, USC, LSU, Notre Dame, Florida. And gentleman, Jim Corbett, our defending champion. He reminded me of that when I said erroneously that Kev Cohen won last year. He reminded me that he won the tiebreaker. Our defending champion, gentleman Jim Corbett, attorney for the Stars and for you, Clemson, USC, Miami, Texas A&M, and LSU. There you go. But we're just rank amateurs. We've got the pro of pros coming up. Another year of Sterling picks from Lee Sterling. That's after the break.
WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point.
News this hour from townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters reporting. It's Labor Day weekend and people are on the move.
San Francisco International Airport spokesperson Doug Yakel says they're hoping to see a return to pre-pandemic levels of travel.
We're expecting about 930,000 people to go through SFO this Labor Day weekend. It's about 8.7% higher than what we saw Labor Day weekend last year. But we're not quite at pre-pandemic levels. We're very close. We expect this weekend to be at about 90% of what we saw back in 2019.
Yakel recommends getting to the airport early. Travelers should also keep an eye on the weather since it's the leading cause of flight delays. Forecasts call for rain from Texas to New England, plus parts of Florida over the weekend. I'm Haya Panjwani.
European Union defense ministers have agreed to boost their training program for Ukrainian troops.
Already, some 60,000 Ukrainian troops have undergone training outside Ukraine in coordination with NATO.
It has been a success, a great success.
And now the European Union's High Representative, Josep Borrell, says 15,000 more will be trained by year's end.
This war requires constant adaptation to the modalities of the war. The training has to be shortened and adapted to the Ukrainian needs.
Meanwhile, Ukrainian commanders have told the Associated Press they blame some inexperienced fighters for losing ground to Russia. I'm Jackie Quinn.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has fired the commander of the country's Air Force after one of its Western-donated F-16 warplanes crashed and the pilot died. The order to dismiss Mykola Oleszczuk was published Friday on the presidential website. Another good day on Wall Street as the Dow was up by 228 points. The Nasdaq rose 197. More at townhall.com.
But with everyday aches and pains, I've got a question. What are you missing out on? Probably a lot. So let me tell you about Relief Factor. Relief Factor is a drug-free daily supplement that helps your body fight pain naturally. It doesn't just mask pain, it helps reduce or even eliminate it. In about 3 weeks, you'll discover what it's like to feel better. Go to relieffactor.com or call 1-800-4RELIEF and save on your first order. That's 1-800-4-RELIEF.
In theaters now, Reagan returns to office.
We are the greatest country in the world. We have just forgotten.
You can run from a bully for so long, but after a while, you're going to have to stand up to him. I am about to start the biggest war of this century.
You told me you wanted to make sense in this world.
What would you have me do?
I want you to fight.
Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall.
Reagan, in theaters now, rated PG-13.
Dispatching errors and the failure of two backup systems allowed a Union Pacific freight train to slam into 74 rail cars that had been parked on a sidetrack for 9 months in Southern California in 2022.
That's according to a National Transportation Safety Board report detailing what caused the crash in the desert near the Salton Sea. An engineer and a conductor died in the accident. Investigators determined that mistakes made by dispatchers at the railroad's headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska, led to the train being routed directly into the parked rail cars.
Correspondent Jeremy House. One dispatcher even overruled the train crew who said they'd been told by a colleague that cars were still parked on that siding. The Teamsters Union, representing workers at both of Canada's largest freight railroads, has filed the lawsuits it promised, challenging the orders that forced employees back to work. News and analysis at townhall.com. I'm Keith Peters.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Well, we're not cooling down just yet. That comes next week. Tonight it's a low of 72, and then for tomorrow, expect a high of 93. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon soaking. Sunday we're at 3 again. Do cool down a little bit for Labor Day. 89 the high, but chances of rain 50%. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Yeah. WQXL Columbia, W264DF.
Grills, outdoor kitchens, fireplaces. Summer sizzle starts with Bart. This is 107 The Point. Ooh, you shouldn't have pressed that button. Oh. Now you get this.
Welcome back to Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network. You can reach the guys with the South Carolina Education Lottery lucky number. 888-898-2525. That's 888-898-2525. Now back to Phil and Chris with the second hour of Sports Talk on the Sports Talk Media Network.
Okay, back we are. Sports Talk. Sports Talk Media Network. Founders Federal Football Friday night all across the state of South Carolina. Make sure you join us for the high school school board tonight.
At 10:05, we're here in Atlanta for the Clemson-Georgia game. Tomorrow afternoon, Matt Smith will cover the South Carolina ODU game tomorrow afternoon in Columbia. By the way, tonight, just getting underway at Stone Stadium in Columbia, is the matchup of the South Carolina and Clemson men's soccer teams. Clemson, the defending national champions. South Carolina appears to have an improved men's soccer team this season based on one game. And they're going to be meeting right now over in Columbia. First events of the new year for the Palmetto Championship. So a point is up for grabs in this event.
By the way, Phil, that game has been delayed for a few minutes. I think they sent out a tweet earlier something about travel out of the upstate. Clemson got there late, so match is supposed to kick off at 7:15 now.
Well, let
So
me
you're
hear
not
you
alone.
yell at them like you yell at me. I mean,
This
you're a
is true.
team. You got to be there on time.
You got to be there on time. I agree.
That's
Leave
right.
early.
That's right. Okay, let's. You heard our picks. The rank amateurs. It's now time, as we do here every football season on Sports Talk, to get you some professional help from Lee Sterling. Always a pleasure to have with us once again from Paramount Sports. He is Lee Sterling with his Sterling picks tonight for us here on Sports Talk. Good evening, sir, and happy football season to you.
Same to you, Phil. Getting a little bit tougher. You know, they don't want to report injuries, these teams, and also, with the transfer portal. But I think everyone's really excited about college football. Just thinking about it, your team could be sitting 15th, 18th, 22nd, 2-3 weeks to go. You run the table. You're in the tournament.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No more do you have to be unblemished. I mean, you don't have to be unblemished anymore. So, I don't know. Everything in sports today revolves around some type of a playoff. Like I can't get in. I mean, I appreciate the PGA Tour and their playoff, and they pay the winner $25 million, which is great for everybody, and the money they make off that. But still, it's not a major, and it doesn't, to me as a fan, doesn't feel like a major from afar. But just the way to have a playoff.
That's the guy that makes $25 million.
Yeah. I mean, I know that. I know if it's a major kick to his bank account, but anyway, that's the way of the world in college sports, and we'll live with it. Now, you mentioned the injury thing, though. You know, the SEC is going to start for league games, forcing the teams to have these various injury updates. So you'll have some information there.
Well, what day are we going to get those updates starting?
3 days in advance.
Oh, that's great. I mean, Big Ten was the only conference last year, and they were giving it out players available on Saturday morning at 10 in the morning.
Yeah. Well, they have they start 3 days in advance, and they have a different level of injury to report, like out or doubtful or probable or whatever. And then they update it each day, and then they give you a final report, I think 90 minutes before kickoff. So
that's great.
That'll be useful.
The gambler just wants a fair shake, and I think that's what it's all about.
Absolutely. Yeah. Okay. First of all, let's tell everybody once again how they can reach out and touch you this football season.
Well, the website's ParamountSports.com. Can't go over every game. We're going to hit on 3 big games, but there's a lot of other big games going on around the country. You'll want to watch some of those videos, like Penn State, West Virginia, Michigan, Fresno State. Got, schools like Tennessee, Ole Miss. They're starting this week in Miami and Florida. Check out those videos. They're up and available, and all the specials. We've had 29 out of 30 winning seasons. Like I said, it's our 31st year in business. Everything's up and available. Check it out, ParamountSports.com.
Well, ride the back of a winner, and that's why Lee is with us. He's a winner. Okay, let's begin. LSU and Southern Cal. LSU is a 4-point favorite against the Trojans.
So LSU is going to travel differently this year. They're not going to throw the ball, I don't think, near as much as last year with Jaden Daniels. But their running backs could go from about 280 carries to about 375 with Daniels moving on to the NFL. Why? They have a top 5 offensive line. They've got 3 potential all-conference first or second team offensive linemen, and they ran for 6.2 yards per carry last year. What's the weakness for USC? Run defense. Gave up 4.8 yards per carry, and Lincoln Riley's already on his second defensive coordinator, both coaches, the 3rd year. Who's the guy that can maybe flip the field, make a difference in this game? Zavion Thomas, a kid from Mississippi State, plays receiver, but also a returner. Last year, over 33 yards per kick return and almost 12 yards per punt return. I'm just looking at this USC defense, and they added 6 new starters from the portal. But listen where these guys are from. Vandy, Georgia State, 2 from UCLA and Oregon State. None of those 4 teams are known for their defense here. I like LSU, 35-24.
LSU getting off to a good start in Lee's mind and covering. Okay, let's go to Columbia, where the real USC resides, my friend. South Carolina, you've got them favored by 20 against ODU.
Yeah, South Carolina's offense, many as 8 new starters here. I think they're actually going to be improved on the 26 points per game, and they only ran for 2.6 yards per carry. But the receivers are going to have to do their bit. They're going to have to get some separation, hold on to the ball. Old Dominion, not in love with this team. Only 10 returning starters. Their defense, just 4 returning starters. They gave up 30 points 6 times, and they're just not even close to the team that upset Virginia Tech 2 years ago. I like South Carolina. They pull away late, 42-13.
Gamecock fans will take that and build on that and go from there, and so will Shane Beamer. Okay, here in Atlanta, Georgia and Clemson. Bulldogs favored by 13. What you got?
Yeah, so both teams return about the same amount of starters. Georgia, 14 returning starters. Clemson, 13. But Dabo said, nah, we're not going to take any transfer kids. Well, only 4 schools not taking transfers, and who are the 4? Army, Navy, Air Force, and Clemson. I think it's a mistake. Georgia, they won back-to-back titles, and they took on 3 transfer kids who are going to help them a lot. Trevor Etienne from Florida, tight end from Stanford, Urosic, and also Miami wide receiver Colby Young. So they really have 17 returning starters. They have the number 4 special teams. Clemson last year just 107th. Neutral site games, Georgia 19-9 against the spread. And I'm watching Cade Klubnik. He's just 14 games, not getting the job done. I mean, they only scored 7 against Duke last year, 17 against Wake Forest, 16 against South Carolina. Sometimes you got to lay it if you want to play it. Georgia, 31-13.
Hey, that ain't going to make anybody in the upstate around here happy.
Nope, I know. Unfortunately.
All right. Okay, and we get to your free play of this week. It's Florida State looking to bounce back, favored by 19 against Boston College.
Yep, big game here for Florida State. You want to find out if they bounce back, or can Boston College take it down to the wire? Be one of the first 10 callers. 800-400-9741. 800-400-9741. First 10 callers get it for free. And check out all the specials. We have our first 40-unit best bet of the year. Looking for another great season, and we usually get off to great starts. $147 for the entire weekend, 9 to 10 plays. One place, ParamountSports.com.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great, successful weekend. We'll talk to you next week.
You too, Phil. Take care.
Thank you. Lee Sterling picks here on Sports Talk. Let's give you the recruiting report here before we get to some NASCAR with Jeff Owens and look ahead to Darlington. Recruiting report on Sports Talk is brought to you by Seawells. Make sure you get to Seawells next week, Tuesday through Friday, for the daily luncheon buffet. You've heard us talk about it, once or twice. It is outstanding, and it's only $14.50, and you will be filled up. And for the very best in the catering business, just look up Seawells online at SeawellsCateringSC.com. You can get your menu information there, or give them a call, 803-771-7385. So South Carolina, with their first home game of the season, going to have a fair number of visitors in, and a bunch of their committed players are coming in. According to Hale McGranahan of the Big Spur, among those expected to visit, not committed to the Gamecocks, include 2025 tight end receiver Mikael Skinner, who is out of Riverside, who's committed to Cincinnati. Then in the 26th class, you've got defensive back Contavious Anderson of Dorman. You've got defensive end Rodney Durham of Charlotte. Offensive lineman Zion Gillis of Hemingway. Tight end Jamel House from Newberry. He's a good one to watch. Defensive end Elijah Littlejohn from Charlotte. Receiver Jair Richburg of Kernersville, North Carolina. Defensive lineman Bryce Robinson of Marietta, who the Gamecocks just offered. Wide receiver Nayland Scott of Powder Springs, Georgia. Offensive lineman J.B. Shabazz of Kernersville, North Carolina. Defensive back to Marion Watkins from Northwestern. Also football, defensive tackle Joseph Mabachu of Loganville, Georgia, who'll be playing Dorman tonight. Has an offer from South Carolina and is committed to Florida. Was offered by Tennessee and LSU. Also visiting South Carolina this Saturday will be 2027 defensive end Deontay Seals, 6'3", 220 of Trussville, Alabama. And Lancaster offensive lineman Kevin P., a Georgia Tech commit, was offered by Vanderbilt. USC women's basketball offered 2026 6'2" Amari Biles from Dallas. That's recruiting on Sports Talk, brought to you by Seawells. After the break, we'll talk Darlington, Mr. Bergen. Time to go racing 500 hard miles, the last race of the regular season.
And found out yesterday Darlington is moving back into the playoffs next season. I want to ask Jeff if that's actually a good thing or a bad thing. I seem to like them being the last regular season race as opposed to the first of the playoffs.
Well, cut just a few spots up for grabs. We'll talk with Jeff about it after the break.
Set your youth up for a lifetime of financial success with Smart Start from Founders Federal Credit Union. Smart Start products and educational resources help teach teens the basics of saving, budgeting, and smart spending. Help them learn smart money skills to jumpstart their financial journey with Smart Start savings, debit, certificates, and educational resources. Learn more at foundersfcu.com/smartstart. Federally insured by NCUA. Membership qualification required. Terms and conditions apply.
Football season is upon us, and that means Columbia is welcoming fans from around the corner and across the country. No matter where you're from, Gamecocks love coming together for game day energy that can only be found in South Carolina's capital city. Book hotel rooms, find pre- and post-game activities, and plan your tailgate spread with local favorites from pimento cheese to barbecue at ExperienceColumbiaSC.com. We'll see you soon, and go Gamecocks!
Oh, appliances, we can't live without them, and eventually we have to replace them, but we don't have to pay more for the new ones, not with Carolina Discount Appliances. Do you want to go and shop at a bunch of retail stores and determine which one has the lowest overpriced item? Me neither. That's why my first call is always Carolina Discount Appliances. The philosophy is simple. No retail prices. None. It might have a scratch or a ding, but overall it's new and will cost you much less than what you're going to pay anywhere else. So if you need a refrigerator, washer, dryer, stove, range, or microwave, they've got you covered. But for less money. Same brands, same appliances, less money. And Carolina Discount Appliances is the home of the $40 Take It Home Today. No credit needed payment options. Regardless, Sherry has you covered. Call today, 803-770-3008. That's 770-3008. No matter where you're located, same number, same person, Sherry at Carolina Discount Appliances, 803-770-3008. It saved me money. It'll do the same for you.
I'm attorney Jim Corbett. I'm not a case manager. I'm a lawyer for over 35 years. I don't charge 40% for your injury in your wreck case or any on-the-job injury. Call 803-765-2968 and ask for Jim Corbett, or email me, jim@jimcorbettattorney.com, for the experience of a lawyer handling your injury case. Jim Corbett, 803-765-2968. jim@jimcorbettattorney.com. Put 35 years of experience to work on your injury case.
There's a lot of things we take for granted in our lives. Your home's AC will run cool. Your drive-through coffee will be hot. And the car will start when it's time to take your kids to school. It's when things don't go as planned that you start thinking about who to call and where to turn. The good thing is, you can prepare for life's most difficult days by calling the Larry Lucas Agency today. Larry is a State Farm agent that has been taking care of people across South Carolina for more than 2 decades. You probably have insurance, but switching is easy, and bundling can save you hundreds or more. Most importantly, Larry Lucas Agency can help you choose the protection you want at the price you want. All backed by South Carolina's #1 home and auto insurance company. Visit LarryLucasAgency.com today or give Larry a call at 803-799-1998. Like a good neighbor, Larry Lucas State Farm is there.
You've put in the work for your education. The extra early, extra late, extra work. That's because you understand education opens doors to better pay, better opportunities, and a better you. Being educated about playing the lottery is no different. It helps you be a better player, one who knows when to play and when to take a rain check. The lottery's a game, so let's keep it fun. Learn more at sceducationlottery.com/betteryou.
Love it when it's forward, love it when it's fast, love it when the leaders call the package moving past, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise, can't wait to hear these brothers say, boogity, 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 let's go racing, boys, let's go racing, boys. Love it when they're drafting, love it when they slide, love it when the back's straight, love it when they're making lots and lots of noise.
DW say, boogity, 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 let's go racing at Darlington. Let's go racing, boys. All right, it's Labor Day. It's Darlington. It's South Carolina. It's hot. It's dirty. There's dirt on the track. It's eating up the tires, crashing into the walls. It's the Darlington Stripe. It's all of that, and we welcome Jeff Owens in the fast lane here to Sports Talk. Okay, here we go. Last race of the regular season. Is it going to be wild and woolly for those that last group of drivers not in the playoffs trying to grab one of those spots?
Yeah, it's going to be pretty wild for those guys, no question about it. Guys like Ty Gibbs and Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain, all those guys on the bubble there. Challenging racetrack for these guys to try to race their way into the playoffs. So it's going to be a lot of pressure on them. But, looking back, last couple of years, Bubba Wallace, Ross Chastain have both, run pretty well at Darlington. They both had nice finishes there last year and earlier this season. I don't expect either one of those guys to win, and they're probably going to need a little bit of help. They're going to need Ty Gibbs or one of those guys to get in trouble early. But you could see a scenario that comes down to the end where those guys are racing for position and possibly racing for a spot in the playoffs. So that's what it's all about right now. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I guess technically you got 3 spots open because you got 13 drivers who are in on wins and then 3 others who are above the cut line right now to round out the 16. And then you've got, you mentioned Wallace, you mentioned Chastain. They are 21 and 27 points back respectively. And then Kyle Busch, more of a long shot, 106. At what point, as far as points go, is it out of reach from a point standpoint? I mean, in other words, 21 and 27 points, can you do well enough to cross that line and make it being that far back going into the last race?
You can, but you got to have some help. I think. You got to go win the race. Points-wise, I think the guys right above them have got to have some trouble. They need Ty Gibbs to have some trouble early in the race and finish near the back of the field. If that happens, then you got to race. If not, then probably not. But they're going to, being 20 or more back, you got to have a little help.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, I'm like you. I'm thinking about Bubba Wallace, and he's probably the one guy that hated to see Harrison Burton win this past weekend down at Daytona, right? Because it's one thing to have a top 5 at Darlington, several top 10s. It's an entirely different prospect to actually win a race, especially as long and grueling as the Southern 500. I don't think he wins. So, I mean, is he one of the guys that is never going to send Harrison Burton a Christmas card moving forward?
Absolutely. And you know what? This is the one flaw. In my opinion, it's a flaw in this playoff system. Now I loved seeing Harrison Burton win that race for a lot of reasons. I've known his dad and his uncle for a long time. I got to know them well, covered them both. So that was a special moment for the sport, especially to see him win for the Wood brothers. But that's the problem with this playoff. That was an enormous upset. You had a guy who's never won a race before, and we've seen this before happen at Daytona. He pulls it off. Great moment for him, but boy, that really muddled up the whole playoff thing. And that's one of the things I don't like. You always are going to have 2 or 3 guys who pull off an upset victory, and it upsets things for the other guys who might otherwise be a legitimate playoff driver and a legitimate contender. And I think Ross Chastain, he's not had a great season, but he's one of those guys, and Bubba Wallace too. They both won races, and I think they probably, are guys that probably deserve to be in the playoffs, but they're not going to get that opportunity now. And, I'm not criticizing Harrison Burton. That was a great moment for him, but, I think that's a big flaw in this playoff system.
And Jeff, to follow up on that, knowing how critical a win is, and Kyle Busch basically had it in his grasp, and I thought mismanaged the last lap because he got too far out in front of the packed traffic, and that's why he got called. Were you surprised at how poorly he ran that last lap or two?
Yeah, I was, and he got away, but I think there were guys behind him, that just couldn't get to his bumper too. But yeah, I thought this was his race. I thought he was going to win it and race his way into the playoffs. And then they lined up behind Harrison Burton. And, and that's the thing about Daytona. You can do everything perfect, but if you don't get a push and the other guy does, you're not going to win. And that's kind of what happened there. And, it's great drama for Daytona, but that's also, one of the problems having that race so late in the season is because a situation like that can really hurt your playoff guys. And it did. It cost Kyle Busch, and it cost some other guys too. So, that's part of it, but that's one of the problems with having Daytona that late in the season.
Well, and speaking of that, Jeff, I wanted to get your take on the new schedule and Darlington going back into the playoffs. I've kind of fallen in love with the fact that Darlington is the final regular season race because of how much is going to be on the line this weekend. Would you prefer them to be in the playoffs like next year is going to be, or do you like them being the last race going in?
Well, I kind of prefer them to be in the playoffs. And I loved it when Darlington was the first race of the playoffs. I thought that was fantastic because you're kicking off your playoffs with the toughest track in the circuit. Right. Having it as the last race is great too. I love that challenge, but the problem is, it's very difficult for them guys at the back of the field to race their way to the front at Darlington. It's almost too tough to be in that spot. You would almost rather it be a place like Richmond or somewhere where it's wide open and a lot of different guys can compete and possibly win the race or get up front. At Darlington, it is tough. We know that. It's the most difficult track on the circuit, and it limits how many guys can run well or win at that track. So, you're limiting that moment for somebody to hit a home run or pull a walk-off like that. I like Darlington in the playoffs.
15 seconds. Who do you like grabbing the checker on Sunday night?
I'll give you 2. I like Chris Buescher. That team, his teammate won earlier this year. He's still trying to race his way in, but also like your points leader Tyler Reddick. He runs really well at that track.
Thank you, my friend. Have a great holiday weekend.
Jeff.
We appreciate you. Be back in a moment.
On Point Weather is made possible by our friends at Palmetto Citizens Federal Credit Union on 107 The Point.
Here's your weekend forecast. Well, we're not cooling down. Yeah, that next week. Tonight it's a low of 72, and then for tomorrow, expect a high of 93. There's a 20% chance of an afternoon soaking. Sunday we're at 93 again. Do cool down a little bit for Labor Day, 89 the high, but chances of rain 50%. Have a great weekend. I'm Cal Moss with your On Point local weather.
Hey Columbia, did you know there's a beautiful sporting clays course, rifle range, and 200-person event center just 30 minutes from downtown? The Palmetto State Armory Outdoor Range in Swansea, South Carolina has everything you need to prepare for this upcoming hunting season, from sighting in your rifle to knocking off the rust on your shotgun. Are you looking for somewhere to host an event or fundraiser? We have everything you need to make your outing one they won't forget. Come check us out at 1201 Redmond Mill Road in Swansea, South Carolina. Find us at facebook.com/PSA Outdoor. That's facebook.com/PSA Outdoor.
News. I'm Keith Peters reporting the Dallas police chief says a man accused of fatally shooting a Dallas police officer and wounding 2 others was targeting police. Chief Eddie Garcia said at a news conference Friday that the officers were targeted for nothing more than the uniform they wear. The suspect was later killed by officers after a highway chase. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has fired the commander of the country's Air Force after one of its Western-donated F-16 warplanes crashed and the pilot died. The order to dismiss Mykola Oleszchuk was published Friday on the presidential website. The Air Force U.S. experts have joined the Ukrainian investigation into the crash, which happened Monday during a Russian bombardment. On Wall Street, the Dow by 228 points. The Nasdaq rose 197. More details at srnnews.com.
I was thinking about the things that matter to me when it comes to calling the plumber. First, most of us call the plumber out of a need, often a crisis. So you want reliability. Then, we're in a vulnerable place already, so you want someone you can trust, someone who will be fair in their pricing and handle things professionally. These are some of the reasons I feel comfortable recommending Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning. See, they've been out to my home. They've been out to my brother's home, too. Franklin Plumbing and Drain Cleaning did such a great job. And you know, maybe this might not matter as much to some people, but they're local. A lot of these plumbing companies you've heard of used to be local, and now they're owned by big national or even international conglomerates. Working with a locally owned company matters. It keeps your pricing down, and the money stays local here in the community. Josh and his team at Franklin makes customer service their top priority. I trust them. You can too, especially during these vulnerable times. Online, it's franklinplumbing.sc.com or call them 799-2222. That's 799-2222.
Need a break but worried about your furry friend? Don't forget, a Paws Paradise, the vacation spot your dog dreams about. Picture this: tail wags, endless play, and all the care your pooch needs while you're away. Whether it's a quick weekend or a getaway, we've got you covered. Don't just take a vacation, give one. Visit apawsparadise.com or dial 551-0323 today. A Paws Paradise, where every dog has its day.
Hey gardeners, expert or beginner, come out and get your seeds and plants from Grow Your Garden with Sal this season. They're an SE certified farm offering local vegetable seedlings as well as plants and seeds. We teach you how to grow your garden even if you don't have a green thumb. Online at salslocalseed.com or visit 113 Hilltop Drive in Columbia. That's salslocalseed.com. Support your local farmers.
This is Ian with AccuClean. With fall quickly approaching, AccuClean knows that it can be all too easy for kids and pets to track in mud, grass, and leaves. Luckily, we know the solution. Now is the perfect time to get your carpets, rugs, and upholstery cleaned as it extends the freshness and life. AccuClean is a veteran-owned and local carpet cleaning company located in the Midlands for over 20 years. Be sure to give us a call at AccuClean today at 803-957-1202 to make sure your carpets are refreshed approaching this season. That's AccuClean at 803-957-1202. We'll see you soon.
Do you know your insurance agent personally?
Not really. We rarely talk. Just the usual pre-generated emails here and there.
Do you think he'd hunt down the best possible rates for you?
I seriously doubt it.
You know who does all these things and beyond? David Jolly.
David Jolly?
It's easy. Just give him this. Give David a call, 803-850-0054.
It really is simple. When you think about insurance, please think David Jolly of the Higgins and Halloran Insurance Group.
4. Straight down the middle. It went straight down the middle. Then it started to hook just a wee bit. And that's when my caddy lost sight of it. That little white pellet has never been found to this day.
Bing, da, bing, bing, bing.
But it went straight down the middle.
I went that way. All right. Time to wrap up the week. Can't think of a better way to wrap up the week than spending time talking one of our good buds, George Bryan III. Birdies, Bogeys, and Biceps, brought to you by Tsunami Bar Sports. We have a special guest tonight, a name that will not be unfamiliar, not just to Clemson fans, but the football fans in South Carolina. This guy, he hit people, George. He hit people like you hit a golf ball with your driver. That's what he did. He used to just lay into them, and like a golf ball, some of them would come up with a dimple because of the way he hit them. Welcome in, George.
Well, good evening, and it is quite a privilege to spend time still in August and football season is upon us with one who knows a bit about that game. And I'll tell you what, I like to go ahead and get all of our participants on the tee, and so he's playing some golf. And we hadn't gone out to play yet, but he is now a member of the Tsunami Bar sports team. Let's go ahead and bring up Chad Smith. Welcome, Chad, to the tee. You're on Birdies and Bogeys.
I appreciate y'all having me on. I'm excited to be on and talk shop with y'all.
Chad, I got to just right out of the blocks. As a linebacker, and Phil, by the way, he still walks that walk and takes wonderful care of himself. But as a linebacker, did you see yourself somewhere in the future back 3 or 4 years ago talking golf on the tee with Phil and George? Did you see that?
No, I couldn't have foreseen that. In all honesty, my golf game is pretty restricted to Top Golf at the moment, but I am, in the market for some actual golf clubs. So if anybody out there has some spare golf clubs that they're trying to get rid of, let me know, because I'm in the market for it. It's part of a future game that I want to be a part of. Football is behind me, and sports are limited to working out. To me, that is sport. And to get into the realm of competitive sport as you get older, I hear golf is a great avenue to pursue. So it's something that I am looking to pick up. I do have a semi-decent golf swing. It's not stiff or rigid or anything like that. Maybe a little stiff, but my Top Golf game is pretty solid. So I do have a golf swing. When you see it, you'd be somewhat surprised that he actually has somewhat of a swing. Now, when I make contact with the ball, that's where the question of where the ball goes. That's kind of up to the wind or something like that. 9 times out of 10, it's not going where I want.
Well, that's about it. Chad, that's the rest of us. And for those out there listening, Chad's part of Williams Strength, Total Strength and Speed, along with Tsunami Bar Sports. So Williams Strength is a manufacturer company right there, 720 Chris Drive, and right next door to the Williams Strength, Total Strength and Speed and Tsunami Bar Sports training gym is the Scramble course. Now, Chad, have you spent any time on the Scramble, the 6-hole Scramble yet, since you've been part of this fitness team?
I have not, to be honest with you. I haven't, and I have driven past it obviously multiple times, and I have looked at it, and I've kind of been tempted to go exploring and see kind of what my game would look like, especially short game, which that I know for a fact is not good unless we're doing putt. Putt. You see me in putt. Well, we can we'll kind of go to battle. But I have not experienced that yet.
We have to have some targets, and that will be one for Chad, Phil, and Jordan. Chad, just so you know, Phil has the radio host amateur course record at the Scramble course, and he's probably the only radio professional that has played the course so far, but he's got the course record.
Well, it's George. This sounds to me like Chad and I need to, go to Selena, or we need to go to the Scramble, and put a little. He's got, I'm sure some of that NIL money before he got out of Clemson. Maybe some of that leaked into his pockets or something. And I can.
That's funny that you say that. That's funny you say that because I just missed it.
You got out there too.
So I wish.
My point is, this is somebody whose pocket I think I can get in, George. There's very few out there that I think I can get in their pockets. Chad sounds vulnerable to me a little bit here.
Now we're talking. Now we're smoking here. Chad, this is Friday evening, 7:30, and this is football season. And before we jump right into football, I am curious your take on football season. I do want to. We go ahead and mix it up and talk a little golf. We have the Tour Championship, which I think is spectacular for the official.
That's awesome.
2024 golf season to wrap up this week. It's right nearby in Atlanta, and I know we spent lots of time over there, but a place called East Lake. And I was there Wednesday for a very unusual Creators Cup. And anyway, Phil, it's time to go ahead and talk about the number one player in the world and the results going on there after 36 holes, and go ahead and take it away.
Let me update the leaderboard. You got your Scotty Scheffler at 21 under. Of course, they started, with a weighted leaderboard. He's at 21 under, 65-66. They're not too far from me. I'm located over here in Chamblee, Dunwoody, and East Lake's over there. It's down past Norcross, I believe, but maybe about, 10, 15 miles from here off the perimeter. Got hit with a huge storm. I know play was suspended. And I was in that storm getting over here. I mean, it was mammoth. Colin Morikawa, 17 under. He's 4 back, 63. Xander Schauffele, 16 under, 5 back. He had a 64. Sahith Theegala, 12 under. He's 9 back, 66. Wyndham Clark, 12 under. He had a 67. And Adam Scott's 12 under. He had a 67. So that's your top 6 at this point. Roy McIlroy is tied for 10th. It's a pair of 69s. He's at 8 under. And I think that's all I need to point out at this point in time. So, George, I once asked you, and Chad, you'll appreciate this. I said to George, George, par threes. Put me on a par 3 with Tiger Woods, and I could beat him on a par 3 hole, just one par 3 hole. And George said, no, you can't.
Really?
Well, I just happen to believe that par 3s are supposed to be easy.
You can't.
Right.
But I'm
right.
Now you put me in a tournament and start me out at 20 under par or something, George. I'm bound to win that tournament.
Not so.
Are we talking about Tiger now, or are we talking about Tiger in his prime?
Hey, Chad, what happens to the guys on the other end of the line from you? We sit in this chair and our heads blow up like a hot air balloon the deeper into the conversation. So the more into the show we go, the bigger our heads get, and the more stuff we talk.
Gotta love it. You gotta love it.
Yeah.
Gotta love it.
And
well, George talks about having an imagination when it comes to a golf game, and I have a real big imagination when it comes to my golf game. Like it's drug. It's my golf imagination is drug induced. That's how crazy it is.
Hey, we can all dream here. We
that's
can all
right.
Dream.
True that.
We can verbalize it. Speak. You never know. You speak your dreams, and they may come into existence down the line. So you never know. You may end up finding yourself on a par 3 with Tiger Woods, and the next,
Well, you know what would happen if that ever happened. If that ever happened, you know what would happen to me. First of all, I would do everything in my pants that's possible to do, and then probably there was one time a few years ago. We were playing an exhibition, and they had Mr. 59 out there with us, George.
Al Guyberger?
No, Chip Beck. And so we were playing out at at Cobblestone. It was university course back then. Excuse me. And he was just playing a par 3 with everybody. I think it was at number 2, which is a par 3. And so I stood there in front of him. Chip Beck is watching me now. This guy's a PGA pro, and he had a 59. And I'm thinking, I'm going to put this tight just to show him what I got. And I hit a divot. You could have buried a small dog in that divot. And my ball just trickled down the hill into the water. I was totally embarrassed. And so my point is, imagine what me or somebody like me would do with Tiger Woods staring at you. I wouldn't be able to swing the club back.
You could go ahead and melt it down. You might melt it down before you pull the trigger, Phil. That could happen. And hey, it's pretty neat that we do go ahead and wrap up. And before we wrap up the scoreboard results, I want to recognize Chad, we typically will take pro golf, talk a little bit about pro golf, and then go on into some amateur golf. This amateur golf scoreboard is brought to you by, I'll just say, the new multi-stick light. That's the golf bar that I like. We're going to talk more about the product line. We're talking the Mini 47. I'll say the Mini 47 is the one that sponsored the pro scoreboard. Well, the multi-stick light is sponsoring the amateur scoreboard. I want to congratulate several of our amateur players that will advance to the U.S. Mid-Amateur, and that this year will be played at Kinloch. And, let's see, where is Kinloch? Phil, you usually really good with golf courses, and it's in Virginia. Midlothian, Virginia. And anyway, so I was watching McLean Sims. He wins the club championship this past weekend at Salina Golf Club, and I happened to be checking the scores on my phone and realized that he also won the Mid-Amateur Qualifier at Country Club of Lexington just a couple weeks ago. So congratulations to Michael Sims and his good play. We talked about him. He was top 20 in the State Am just a few weeks ago. And Austin Langdale also qualified, as did Brinson Paleone. So Austin and Michael are both South Carolinian. You know what happens around the country? Some of the folks will slip down to South Carolina thinking, well, little old South Carolina doesn't have very many good players, and it might be easier to get through that qualifier than, say, the one in Georgia or Alabama, and they get tased a little bit of a surprise. They used to do it quite a bit in junior golf, and you'd have these folks show up from California or Texas, and we got some boys that flat can play around here, and congratulations to those. And then we also had a qualifier at Mid Carolina, and Chandler Mulkey, he wins that one from James Allen, and Jonathan Scram, Connor Doyle, those are a couple of out-of-staters, so we'll congratulate Michael Sims and Chandler Mulkey, and also the other Austin Langdale. So congratulations. These players will advance to the U.S. Mid-Amateur. It's pretty cool. You can compete. You got to be 25 years old. Sam Jackson, I think, hopefully he's exempt into that. And we'll be talking more on amateur golf, and this again brought to you by the Multi-Stick Light, the Tsunami Bar Multi-Stick Light. And so, Chad, we'll shift gears, and we're going to talk more about the product line in a bit, but your take on football season. You still get excited? Your heart still get to thumping a little extra this time of year? Do you miss it?
Yes, it does get a little thumping, and it definitely will get a little thumping tomorrow at noon when the Tigers take the Bulldogs on in Mercedes-Benz. I do miss it. It's just, it's a special time of the year. And Labor Day, when college football starts to, get back in the air officially, kicks off, it's a great time. And I'm excited to see how this new format in college football will take hold. There's a lot of speculation, a lot of unknowns, but in the next three months or so, those unknowns are going to have answers. So I'm excited to see how that will all transpire here.
I got a question I always ask folks that are segue into another frontier. What do you miss most right this minute? What do you miss most?
Oh man. Right now, typically we'd be getting ready to, what time is it? It is, right now we'd just be finishing pregame dinner. And we'd be heading off to the hotel to watch our movie at Clemson. Clemson, we eat dinner and then we go to the movies, we watch a movie, the seniors pick a movie, you get popcorn, you get slushies, you get, water. you get all that's all laid out for you. You typically take a back entrance to the movie, so you don't have to go through like the whole front of the movie with every all the people in the crowd there. And typically we take the whole team almost, or at least those that are traveling, which is a good bit, and the coaching staff. So it's quite a big crowd. We fill up sometimes two entire rooms in the theater. So we get it all rented out and everything like that. So I miss that part right now. And then also just, game day. I mean, the feeling when you wake up and you go through your warm-ups and everything, just the atmosphere when you start seeing on the clock that, hey, you got 8 minutes till kickoff. And then, you get there on the sideline and you just take in the moment of the whole stadium around you, all the fans just, slammed and excited. It's insane. It's honestly, it's crazy that it already is done. Like I'm already 5 years out of it, which is crazy to me. And I had a 5-year career at Clemson, and I'm 5 years already gone, and it just went by like a blur. So that's probably what I miss the most. Just the aura of college football when you're out there on the field, and just all like the little moments leading up to game day.
George, let me ask a quick question, if I may, of Chad, since you've taken us into the football realm here. Remind everybody, Chad mentioned 5 years at Clemson, was on 2 national championship teams, was defensive MVP of the Fiesta Bowl in 2019, where he had 12 tackles, finished his career, played in 58 games. I think he played in like every game in his career, 14 starts in his last season, 154 total tackles in that time. Recruited by and coached by Brent Venables. So take about a minute or two, if you can. Give us your most memorable, maybe one-on-one, behind-the-scenes moment with Brent Venables. Just something that stood out to you. Is there one in particular?
Oh, man, there's so many moments, one-on-one moments with him that probably wouldn't be appropriate to go into detail, but because of just who he is as a coach, he just sometimes gets lost in the game, and he just gets so caught up in the emotions of the game. He's such an intense individual. He brings out the best of his players just because of who he is as a coach and as a person. Great man. I enjoyed playing for him for my entire career. He's big and he's very instrumental of being the man that has developed me to who I am today. And I would say the one moment, I mean, it's hard to pinpoint one moment because there's so many, but I would say probably, I don't know, to kind of keep it, PG, I would say when I first got to Clemson, I enrolled January of 2015. Okay, so I enrolled early. And so in my high school, I was the man. I was the best thing since sliced bread. And, in my area, I was, the whole district, region, I was super awesome. And so I didn't really get my butt ripped that much. I got it ripped a couple times, but not like Coach V butt ripped. So during the winter time, every college football team goes through mat drills, which is essentially, where coaches are out there running players through a bunch of different drills, conditioning drills, agility drills. They're just trying to crush you. They're just trying to put you in the grease and fry you, and see the cream rising to the top. And so I'm a freshman. I ain't never been through mat drills. And so we're going through mat drills and this was the day, because there's about 8 different mat drills. Sometimes you have more, sometimes you have less. It just depends on the program, the coaching style, how many mat drills you want to do during the winter. I can't remember what we did. We did mat drills for about 2 months, and it's like every other day you're doing a mat drill. And this was a day where the position coaches followed their position group to every station. And I remember going through one station and I'm getting greased. I'm getting cooked. I'm being sent back because my group didn't finish right. We messed up. We touched a cone, and, there's strict rules. If you touch a cone, your whole group has to go back and do it again. And you have coaches yelling at you. They're just, hooting and hollering, telling you to pick it up, stop being so soft, blah, blah, blah. They're saying all kinds of pretty language at you. And I remember going through one drill to the next drill, and I'm fried at this point. Like, I am gassed. And, like, I can see, like, you know, the dark clouds, you know, closing in around my eyes. And next thing I know, I see Coach V just popping in my face. And I can close my eyes and I can just see his facial expression. And I couldn't really hear him because I was so tired. I was just gassed. And I was just trying to survive at that point because I just went through the grease at this other station. And I just see his facial expressions. And he's like 3 inches away from my face. And I'm an 18, 17-year-old kid, like, just getting to college. And I'm like, what did I just get myself into? Like, I think I'm going to die out here. And that's just, like, one of the most vivid memories that I have of Coach V, just going through mat drills and this one station after getting greased at these other stations, him coming, like, 3 inches away from my face and yelling at me. He probably spit at me, but I couldn't accidentally because he was yelling so much. But I couldn't really, like, tell because I was drenched in sweat already. That was probably the one, like, moment that just, like, wow, like, welcome to college football kind of moment, like, you know, for me, college coaching and Coach V's coaching style, because he has a very distinct coaching style. But yeah, that's probably the one memory that I have that has stood with me to this day.
That was literally burned into your brain. Go ahead, George.
Hey, well, it's you're on another frontier now. You're a Tsunami Bar Sports ambassador, and this has been a sponsor of this segment, Birdies and Bogeys, for quite some time. And it's a pretty incredible technology. You have a couple of minutes, probably a minute and a half, to share a little bit about the technology as we just about putt out on the last green. And when you hear that music,
I got to give you the 1 minute warning. 1 minute warning.
Yeah. You got less than a minute, and you'll hear some music, Chad.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Well, I'd just say, like, the Tsunami Bar and the technology, it's a difference maker. It's a difference maker for your athletes. It's a difference maker for your golf game. It's a difference maker for those that just train. For me, it's been a great difference maker. It's a technology that allows you to stabilize. It allows you to work through your connective tissues in your joint areas. It works your core. And if you're a golf athlete, I mean, you want to have great connective tissues all around and a great core. And with mini stick and the multi-stick light, those are great tools that you can add to your repertoire going into your golf game, doing, pre-golf activities in terms of activation. There's a lot of different movements that you can do. You can look up on YouTube a couple of movements, but it's been a difference maker for me. I wish I trained with it as a collegiate athlete more, but I do train with it now, and I stand on the difference that it's made in terms of just, my stability in my joints and playing the game of football for so long. It does tear you up a little bit, but it's been a great help and a great difference maker in terms of recuperating some of the things that I lost.
That's one of the things, Chad, and as I've noticed, you might not be able to tell on radio, but I got a few years on Chad. And that music is great for that recovery, especially as some of that older connective tissue gets a little tired. So, hey, that's that music. Man, what a privilege to have you all on the show, especially you, Chad, and look forward to more.
I appreciate it.
Week, tee 'em high, but shoot 'em low.
All right, guys, thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. Don't forget the scoreboard, 10:05 tonight. See you then.